Folks, you want to talk about something that actually matters? Something that could change the entire map of the Middle East? Something that puts every single foreign policy expert, every single think tank drone, every hand-wringer in Washington completely on their heels? Well, buckle up, my friends, because the President of the United States woke up this morning and told the Ayatollahs something they have never, ever heard from an American president before. Donald Trump, and I want you to really hear this, Donald Trump told Iran this morning that the United States military is poised to hit them, quote, very hard tonight. And not just that. He named the target Karg Island, Iran's oil export hub, the jugular vein of the entire Iranian economy. He said, oil infrastructure points, seizure, the United States military, now. Now, I want you to think about what you just heard, because the drive-by media is already in full cardiac arrest over this. Chuck Schumer, and I'll get to Chucky in a moment, is already out there calling it a fiasco. A fiasco! The man who has never, in his entire political career, successfully projected strength toward anyone more threatening than a Sunday morning TV host, is calling this a fiasco. My friends, I have been behind this golden microphone for a long time, and I have watched president after president, Republican and Democrat alike, let Iran strut around the world stage like they owned the place, funding terrorists, chanting death to America, spinning centrifuges. And our guys? Our guys wrote sternly worded letters, called it diplomacy. Not today. I'm Rick LeBow. This is Rush Hour, and we are just getting started. All right, let's set the table on this Iran situation properly, because I want you to understand exactly what's happening and why the political class is losing their minds over it, and why you, sitting in your car right now, should not be losing your mind. You should be sitting back and watching this with a certain degree of satisfaction. Here's the thing about Karg Island. For those of you in Rio Linda, Karg Island is where somewhere between 80 and 90% of Iran's oil exports flow through. If you want to understand what seizing Karg Island means economically to the Iranian regime, imagine someone padlocking the only door to your only bank account. That's it. That's the whole ball game. The Ayatollahs' entire ability to fund Hezbollah, to fund the Houthis, to fund every proxy army they've got scattered across the Middle East, all of it flows through that island. And Trump just said, we're taking it. Now, I want to stop here for just a moment, because I want to address the people who are currently hyperventilating on cable news. You know who you are. You're the ones who in 2020 told me that killing Qasem Soleimani, a man responsible for the deaths of hundreds of American soldiers, was going to start World War III. You said it was reckless. You said Trump was going to get us all killed. You had generals on television, retired generals who hadn't smelled anything more dangerous than a green room since 2003, telling us the region was about to explode. What happened? Nothing. Or rather, not nothing. Iran folded, briefly. Because that is what happens when you project genuine, credible, unapologetic force. They fold. The lesson of the last 40 years in dealing with Iran is very simple, and you don't need a PhD from any institution to understand it. Weakness invites aggression. Always, every time, without exception. When Jimmy Carter let the hostage crisis drag on for 444 days, Iran learned something about America. When Obama sent pallets of cash, pallets of actual cash to Tehran in the dead of night, Iran learned something about America. When Biden watched Iran's proxies attack American forces over 160 times without any serious response, Iran learned something about America. What they learned is that there is a version of America that flinches. Trump is teaching them there is another version. Now, let's talk about Chuck Schumer, because Chucky the Crying Clown has issued a statement, and it's something. He says, and I have this right here in my formerly nicotine-stained fingers, he says Trump, Hegseth, and Rubio have insisted their disastrous war in Iran is over, and that this proves they've been lying to the American people. He's worried, he says, about boots on the ground. Boots on the ground! Chuck Schumer, who voted for the Iraq War, Chuck Schumer, who was quiet as a church mouse when Barack Obama was bombing 7 different countries simultaneously. That Chuck Schumer is now a pacifist. He's discovered the horrors of military action just in time. Just in the nick of time, Chucky has become a dove. My friends, let me explain what boots on the ground actually means when a Democrat says it, because they don't mean what you think they mean. They don't mean they're worried about American soldiers. If they were worried about American soldiers, they might have said something, anything, when Biden left 13 of them to die at Abbey Gate in Kabul. Remember that? Remember those 13 kids? The drive-by media sure doesn't bring it up much. No, when a Democrat says boots on the ground, what they mean is, this is going well, and I need to find a way to make it look bad before November. That's it. That's the whole translation. Now, I also want to mention, because this is genuinely entertaining, Iran has apparently threatened to treat Elon Musk's companies as military targets. Elon Musk's companies, Starlink satellites, they're going to treat SpaceX as a military target. The Ayatollah is going to launch a ground offensive against a rocket ship. I love it. I absolutely love it. The regime that can't keep its own power grid running is declaring war on the man who builds reusable orbital rockets. Good luck with that, fellas. Here is what I think is really going on, and I want you to hear me on this because I've thought about it carefully. The foreign policy establishment, the people who've run American foreign policy for decades, who brought you Iraq, Afghanistan, the Iran nuclear deal, Libya, Syria, these people are incapable of understanding Trump's approach because they are trained in a completely different language. Their language is process, committees, multilateral frameworks, 17-step diplomatic protocols, consultations with allies who then do whatever they were going to do anyway. Trump's language is result, full stop. And the result of 40 years of the establishment's approach to Iran is a nuclear program that is weeks away from a weapon, a network of proxy armies that stretches from Yemen to Lebanon, and a regime that openly chants for the destruction of our closest ally in the region. Tremendous work, guys. Really, a masterclass. Now, Chucky Schumer and the drive-bys want to tell me that the guy who is actually doing something about it, that he's the problem. Don't doubt me on this. History is going to record the last 40 years of Iran policy as one of the most spectacular failures of American statecraft ever committed. And it's going to record this moment as when somebody finally decided enough was enough. Enough was enough. I'll say one more thing on this before we move on, and I want to say it plainly. The people who are most upset about pressure on Iran are not upset because they care about peace. They're upset because a cornered Iranian regime is a regime that might stop funding their ideological allies in the region. The whole apparatus, the NGOs, the academic left, the foreign policy blob, a significant chunk of it runs on Qatari and Iranian-adjacent money and influence. Don't kid yourself about that. When you see a foreign official on television looking genuinely alarmed that Iran might be squeezed, ask yourself one question. Ask yourself who that person has been working for since they left government. 9 times out of 10, you'll have your answer in about 4 minutes of searching. America first means America's interests come first, not the Ayatollahs' interests, not the interests of whoever's cutting checks to the Brookings Institution this week. America's. All right, my friends, time for the roundup. Rapid fire, let's go. I've got a few things I want to hit. First up, and I cannot let this go by without comment, the Graham-Plattner situation. Now, if you haven't been following this, Plattner is a Democrat running for Senate in Maine, and it has come out that this man has a Nazi tattoo, a swastika, on his body, and he claims that he got it as a young man and has since renounced those beliefs. He is calling himself a new man. A new man. Now here's what I want you to notice. Ron Klain, who was Biden's chief of staff, the man who effectively ran the White House for 2 years, Ron Klain has come out to defend this guy, to explain it away. Jewish groups are furious, Republicans are furious, and Ron Klain is out here doing the rhetorical equivalent of, it was a long time ago, let's move on. Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something very slowly and very clearly. If a Republican candidate, any Republican candidate, had a Nazi tattoo and a former Republican chief of staff defended him, what would be playing on every television screen in America right now? What would the chyrons say? What would the front pages look like? You don't have to think very hard about that, do you? The answer is, it would be the only story in America. There would be no other story. Every Republican in the country would be demanded to personally denounce it, in writing, on camera, 3 times, while facing east. But a Democrat gets Ron Klain running cleanup. The double standard here isn't even subtle anymore. They stopped pretending. They fully stopped pretending. Next, Ms. Rachel. For those of you who have small children or grandchildren, you may know Ms. Rachel. She is a children's YouTube personality. Very popular, very wholesome seeming, soft voice, songs, ABCs, and 123s. The kids love her. Well, this week, Ms. Rachel showed up at an anti-ICE protest outside a detention facility that holds illegal immigrants. And she sang a song with children, about bringing down the walls everywhere until everyone's free. Now, look, I'm not here to be mean to someone who makes content for toddlers, but I want to point out what this is. This is the radicalization of children's entertainment, and it's not new. It has been going on for years, quietly, carefully, incrementally, and now it's so brazen that a children's YouTube host is literally serenading kids outside an immigration detention center with protest songs. These people never, ever stop. They are patient, they are strategic. They know that if you get the kids early enough, you've got them for life. They know it. And they don't care that you know they know it, because they own the platform, they own the algorithm, and your 3-year-old can't tell the difference between a lullaby and an organizing chant. Pay attention to what your kids are watching. That's all I'll say. Pay attention. Last one, and I actually enjoy this one a great deal. Ben Stiller, actor, rich Hollywood type. has for years lectured New York City, lectured it about the homeless problem. Something must be done. The city needs to act. It is a crisis. He has said these things publicly, repeatedly, with great feeling and passion. This week, a video surfaced of Ben Stiller walking to a Knicks game, and he walks directly past a homeless man, right past him, like he wasn't even there. Doesn't stop, doesn't slow down, doesn't reach into what I assume is a very nice coat pocket and pull out anything at all. Just right past him, head down, Knicks game to get to. My friends, this is the entire liberal philosophy in 20 seconds of video footage. It is all there. The lectures are for you. The compassion is for press releases. The homeless man on the sidewalk is an abstraction, a policy position, a bumper sticker, until he's actually in front of you on the way to the arena, and then suddenly you've got very important plans. I'll say it one more time, because I've been saying it for years and I'll keep saying it. Liberals measure compassion by how loudly they talk about it. Conservatives measure it by whether anything actually gets better. Ben Stiller walked past that man. The city he's been lecturing, still a mess, still the same mess it was when he started lecturing. Funny how that works. My friends, before I let you go, I want to leave you with something, because I know some of you are looking at the news today. The Iran situation, the total collapse of basic standards in our political class, children being used as props at protest rallies, and you're feeling a little weary. I understand that, I do. But here is what I want you to hold on to. The American people are not stupid. I have believed that my entire career, and I still believe it today. The people who actually run this country, not the people in Washington, not the people in the corner offices or the faculty lounges, but the people who get up every morning and go to work and pay their taxes and raise their kids and try to do right by their neighbors. Those people still have more common sense in their little fingers than the entire expert class has assembled in total. They see Ben Stiller walk past the homeless man. They see Ron Klain defending a Nazi tattoo. They see their children's TV shows being turned into organizing tools. They see Chuck Schumer throwing a fit about America finally putting real pressure on a regime that funds terror. They see it all, and they remember. Americans have a long memory when they decide to use it, and I think they're deciding to use it. We are a remarkable country, remarkable, the greatest experiment in self-governance that the world has ever seen. And the people who want to tear it down or apologize for it or manage its decline, those people have been wrong about this country for as long as I can remember, and they will keep being wrong because America keeps finding a way to surprise everybody, especially the people who've given up on it. Don't give up on it. Keep your eyes open. Keep your heads up. And don't let anybody, not the drive-by media, not Hollywood, not Brussels, not Tehran, don't let anybody tell you the story of this country is over. They've been saying that since 1776, and we're still here. Still here, still free, still the place everybody else in the world is trying to get to. Think about that. I'm Rick LeBeau. This has been Rush Hour, same time tomorrow, if they let us back on.